Okay, major Saudi Arabian firms are planning billion-dollar investments in Syria as part of the kingdom's business-forward approach to the country's recovery. Abdullah Mando, the CEO of the new Saudi-Syrian Business Council, has informed that among the companies looking to break into the market are Saudi renewable energy major ACWA Power and state telecoms firm STC. Mando has added that the plan is to start with the basics in Syria's war-torn economy by rebuilding energy, financial and telecoms infrastructure. Saudi has been the main engine driving global re-engagement with Syria since former President Bashar al-Assad's government was toppled last year. In May, the kingdom hosted a historic meeting between US President Donald Trump and new Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharaa, where Trump announced he would lift all sanctions on Syria. However, the most stringent restrictions, known as the Caesar sanctions, can only be removed by an act of US Congress, where lawmakers are split but are expected to reach a decision before the end of this year. Now, in other news, a US State Department spokesperson has now said that the Trump administration supports repealing the Caesar Act sanctions on Syria through the National Defense Authorization Act. The spokesperson has stated that the United States is in regular communication with regional partners and that it welcomes investor engagement in Syria. The Caesar Act imposes wide-ranging sanctions on Syria, targeting individuals, companies and institutions linked to ousted Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Now joining us to discuss this is Mati Zawaig. He's a geopolitical expert and he joins us live from Tel Aviv in Israel. Mati, thank you for joining us. Let's first of all start with the Saudi Arabians. Why do they want to hold Syria up? Obviously it was them who advocated for Syria to have all these sanctions removed. And of course, then following up from that, how likely is it that the US will bypass Congress once again, of course, and lift the Caesar Act sanctions on Damascus?
Well, good morning, Thomas. I think that a lot of conversations has been held between the parts since Trump himself. He said that he wants to remove all the sanctions, but let's not forget that all the sanctions were held because the new government in Syria didn't fulfill everything they have to do to what the Caesar Act was done in the beginning. I mean, this was for al-Assad, not for them. But anyway, most of the things, political framework that they were working, it was for peace and security in a new Syria. And this is not fully fulfilled from the Syrian side, with the central government having attacked minorities like the Druze, like the Kurds. So there have been a lot of discussions in the US. And of course, they didn't do what they have to do now. With Saudi is also a big partner of the US. And of course, Trump wants them also to help. But let's see what is going to happen now, because there is a big discussion the same way with the sanctions in Russia, when first they say they are going to lift the sanctions with Russia to help them go further in the ceasefire and everything. Now, this is also an internal fight against the US Congress, and it's not going to be so easy. But I think anyway, the Saudis are going further with some of their investments.
Yes, indeed, Mati. Do stay with us as we have some further updates to share with our viewers. The United Nations Security Council has adopted a US-drafted resolution backing negotiations on Western Sahara-based on Morocco's autonomy plan, further calling it the most feasible solution to the territory's 50-year conflict. The text has urged both sides, Morocco and the Algeria-backed Polisario Front, to engage in serious discussions in the coming weeks. Let's take a listen in to the United States Ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz.
Совет готов приступить к голосованию по представленному на его рассмотрение проекту резолюции. Я ставлю проект резолюции на голосование. Прошу голосующих за проект резолюции, содержащийся в документе С 2025-692.
We had a problem there with the bite we just played. However, we do move on. 11 council members have voted in favour, while Russia, China and Pakistan abstained. Algeria has refused to participate, saying their resolution fails to uphold decolonisation principles and ignores the Polisario Front's position. Let's take a listen in to Amar Ben Jama, the permanent representative of Algeria to the United Nations.
Et en toute responsabilité, l'Algérie a tenu à illustrer sa prise de distance avec un texte qui ne reflète pas fidèlement, qui ne reflète pas suffisamment la doctrine onusienne en matière de décolonisation.
The resolution also extends the mandate of the UN peacekeeping force, MINUSRO, for 1 year and requests a strategic review within 6 months. Morocco's autonomy would give Western Sahara local legislative, executive and judicial powers, while Rabat retains control over defence and foreign affairs. The Polisario Front continues to demand a referendum on independence, an option absent from the current proposal. Okay, Matti Zaweg joins us once again to discuss this. Matti, the UN's latest resolution supports negotiations on the basis of Morocco's autonomy plan, not full self-determination, however. Does this effectively legitimise Morocco's control of the Western Sahara?
Well, this is clearly one conflict that has been going on many, many years. And also the different US administrations with the Moroccan side, they have tried to keep them inside themselves for not to go in a slippery road, because the Polisario Front was always looked like the bad guy. I mean, they were rebels backed usually from Algeria that themselves, they have a conflict with Morocco, and lately Trump said that he's going to solve this conflict between them. So all the stand of Algeria in this moment, together with Pakistan and Russia and China, that they are clearly from other side of the resolution of this conflict, is like trying to say, let's not give a bigger grip for the West and the US and the investors from the West. This is what is going on here, because there are some prospects of minerals in the areas they are supposed to be independent, and a lot of powers, they want to have a stake on this place. So this is a big chess, a big chess scenario in what everybody's moving their, all the pieces. And anyway, they are backing now Morocco, because in this moment, in the geopolitical configuration, the West is having more power to do it.
Yes, indeed, Matti. And of course, Algeria, says the United Nations, with this vote, has failed its decolonisation mandate. From your perspective, is this really a UN failure, this plan that's been put forward?
Well, Algeria has been decolonized themselves, but they have been in a lot of political problems and economical problems and everything since their beginning, with a lot of political turmoil inside and millions of people trying to go out from there to live in France and other parts. So, I mean, they are talking about this decolonization card, but confronting a reality that is very unclear because the Polisario Front is not really organized to run any territory, and it's like saying to them, let's finish one colonization from the West with the colonization of Morocco, that they are more settled and more likely to run all this area until a kind of solution is going to be achieved. It's very clear what's going on. This is about the superpowers and group of countries trying to have the hand on this, because Polisario is not so strong, and they are not really ready to run the places like this. And in this case, that's what it's going to be. Morocco is going to take care from that area until some solution is going in the future. If the Polisario is going to be strong enough, so there are going to be clashes and more problems in the future. If not, they are going to be like minorities in other countries in the world that are going to struggle for more independence for themselves.
Okay, Mati Zaweg, thank you very much for joining us here on NewsX World. It's always a pleasure to talk to you on these issues. We now move on to our next story, and the US Treasury Department's top